Sometimes we forget why we're here. It's easy to fall off track. These help us remember.
These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Growing up, I had a dream, something no one else could see. Tell me what it means when your faith is falling beneath your knees and you can't breathe. Everything you see reminds you of what you're not or something you won't be. You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians or choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business. Not because they wanna do it, just because they heard it pays. And who the fuck wants to be poor knowing that's how we've been raised? Society is getting heavy, I can feel the weight. The pressure of success is like 100 million pounds of shame. And that's the reason I'm staying up late, trying to find a way to escape the stereotypes this day and age is making me feel like the only way I'll be happy is getting signed to a label and making money through rapping. I wanna share my emotion because this world is attacking the very principle of life that lets the people be happy. If you don't have a reason to breathe, why even live? These battle scars are impressions of everything that it is.
Scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Now, if I had a voice that reached 100 million people, I'd tell them there's a reason that we're all created equal. Cause some decide to be great and some decide a sequel to an average person's life is simply what they want to be. So you make your decision, all I know is what I'm given. Won't define the life I lead or the way I dwell in existence. I've seen a greater image on the walls of where I'm living, and the words twisted and scripted remind me of something written. Faith is a gift that is given down to the people. If one believes it, one receives it. It's given if it is needed. Don't ever think you're trapped in a life that you never wanted. Your options are infinite, that's some mathematical logic. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers and these battle scars on my church. Not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers, these battle scars on my church.
Scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Well, hello everyone. I want to know who the four oh, my hair is a mess. I've been packing. I want to know who the four insomniacs are that are watching right now at 1:30 in the morning Mountain Time. That's what I want to know. I want to know who you people are, because I know who I am. I'm somebody who's getting ready to get on a plane to go to the Florida convention, and, you know, I have to get content out. So I do things at all hours of the night. I hate editing, so I just do it live, okay? But we're going to make this quick, because, again, I'm in the middle of getting ready to get on a plane. I'm leaving here in about 3 hours. Hello, Cam Anarchy, fellow insomniac. And I wanted to get this news out because it's hot off the presses. Where's my flame? It's hot. It's hot off the presses. And while I have the insomniac's attention and anyone else who might be watching this tomorrow, please support one of my sponsors. If you haven't subscribed yet, first to my channel. Sorry, Daniel, but first to my channel. Hi, cowboy. First to my channel, but then to Daniel 3 Biblical Anarchy. Please do go and subscribe. He's one of my top patrons, and I really appreciate it when you show your appreciation to them. And hello, Theodore. So, also along the bottom is my shameless grifting. I would love to make my Patreon goal for this month. We are getting towards the end of the month. I'm $22 a month away from making a very big goal. If you can help, please do. As always, all super chats matter. They go to my campaign, and I am desperately in need of raising some campaign money. Now, I did just raise a lot in Virginia, like they were so generous. But what I did with that is I got almost all of the rest of the plane tickets I need to get. I think there's 3 more, maybe 4, that need to be gotten between me and my campaign manager. We had a campaign team meeting tonight. It was great. That just reminded me. When is North Carolina? I'm supposed to be doing a promo video for North Carolina. I'm going to have to do that when I get back. I hope it's not too late. Well, I'm going down to North Carolina as well. I hope it's not too late. But anyway, so as the image for this video, the thumbnail, I guess you kids call it today on the YouTubes, if LNC chairs would stop trying to affect coups of state affiliates, that would be great. It seems like, though, doing it in a much less sneaky manner than her predecessor, Whitney Bilyeu tried to pull a little sneaky, didn't she? A little sneaky-deaky with Delaware. But remember, this is someone who, before she was chair, said, and I'll never let you guys forget this, I can, in the motion to disaffiliate New Hampshire, she said, I can't think of a good reason to disaffiliate New Hampshire, but I can't bring myself to vote no. Yeah, that's who you want as your impartial LNC leadership that's looking out for you, right? Okay, so what happened? The JC decision, was it a week and a half ago, came down clearly in favor of Delaware. In order to try to give power back to Will Happy Coup-Master McVeigh, you'd have had to have, crossed your fingers behind your back while you were playing Twister with Gumby, okay? That is really the only way you could have interpreted that JC decision in any other way than you guys done screwed up, tuck your tail between your legs, and go put on a convention, you lame duck LNC. But no, Whitney, she did some creative thinking. Listen, I'll give her credit for creative thinking, because she tried to find any way she could not to accept the fact that the LNC done screwed up. And Will McVeigh did something very, very bad. I hope you hear the capitals. Capital V, very, very bad trademark. Okay? So she tried to hand the party back to him. I don't know if I do know. I do prefer open corruption to secret corruption, because it's easier to expose. But, we're not here to expose corruption. We're just here to take minutes. But I've got nothing to say about that. No, so I prefer this open manipulation because it's so transparently obvious. So, when this happened, my jaw literally went, Whitney, how the hell did you get that interpretation from the JC ruling? So, what Whitney, to recap, interpreted the JC as saying is that the board was reset back to October 1st, and nothing that happened between October 1st and now mattered. It was like they were in a deep freeze. So that everyone, including Happy Coup-Master McVeigh and his mother, and I Never Blink Joe DiPasquale, were all on this board still. No matter what happened between October and now, it was a deep freeze, and she was not going to obey. Obey's the wrong word. I really hate that word as a libertarian. She wasn't going to listen to the requests of the rightful chair of Delaware, Bill Hines, that they have a new website. She was going to still link to the fraudulent website where they were fraudulently asking for party donations when they weren't the rightful affiliate, unless Bill Hines could prove to her, who the hell does she think she is, that the board was exactly the same as October 1st. Now, how the hell she got that interpretation, I don't know. Is it possible she just has such bad comprehension that she really believed that's what the JC said? It's possible. But Whitney is not stupid. I guess you have to take your choice here. Whitney's either stupid, which she's not. I've worked with her for years. She's a sharp woman. You don't get as far in politics as she did, because she has considerable accomplishments, legitimate accomplishments, and be stupid. Or you purposely were so ass mad that the JC bitch slapped the LNC, which they should have done for their decision for me. But listen, right now they're batting 50-50. Chuck, I know you just subscribed to me on Twitch. You probably, don't like me very much right now because you're batting 0 for 100. Mary is 100 for 100. Mary kicked ass. So you either have to believe she's dumb, which she's not, or she purposely tried. Hey, Chuck, I knew you were there. You know I love you anyway, don't you? I hope you know that. I hope you know that. I knew you were out there because I know you're an insomniac like I am, but I am not happy with your JC decisions, Judge Moulton, Dr. Moulton, but I love you anyway. You're a wonderful human being. That's why I said that. I wouldn't have said, I never would have said anything bad about you publicly. I'm so glad you're here. When I saw you subscribed on Twitch, I was so happy. I read the decision. And you and I should talk. I'm going to see you in Pennsylvania in 2 weeks. I still agree with the Wagner decision. Let me qualify that though, because that was a couple of years ago, and I do hope we all mature. I think you remember I was a brand new party member when that first came out, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in Pennsylvania. And I still do agree with 90% of the Wagner decision. I hope you guys don't mind this aside, because I'm so happy Chuck is here. Where I think you got it wrong in interpreting the Wagner decision, or at least let me tell you how I differentiate, because this may not be important to you, so I don't want to say you got it wrong here. I have refined might be the right word. Nuanced, I guess, is a better word. In Wagner, Epstein, whatever we want to call it, in the Oregon thing, neither side was completely right. Neither side was completely right. And remember, I told Wes Wagner that. Remember what he told me on IPR? It made my day when I told Wes Wagner that I thought both sides didn't have clean hands, and he told me to go F myself. And ever since then, I absolutely adored Wes Wagner, because in a lot of ways, Wes Wagner is my spirit animal. In Wagner, it was not clear. Whatever we want to, call it. Wagner, Epstein, Burke, it wasn't clear. They screwed up their bylaws. Neither side could comply with their bylaws. Both sides messed up. Remember, my ultimate opinion in Delaware, and I think you might not understand why I came to my conclusion, not because of any fault on your part. I probably explained it wrong. Both sides were wrong in Oregon. The LNC should have just disaffiliated Oregon, and I did go and make sure I said that on IPR, and I did. The only right decision in Oregon for the LNC was to disaffiliate, because neither side clearly followed their bylaws, because neither side could. The reason I sided with Wagner on that is because the Oregon Libertarians sided with Wagner on that. Overwhelmingly. And as an aside, there was very good evidence that the Republicans were backing Burke. We all know that. In the Oregon PAC office, he was a field coordinator for Donald Trump. But the two big factors for me in Oregon were neither side followed their bylaws because they couldn't, and the Oregon Libertarians favored the Wes Wagner faction. In Delaware, there was no question. There was no question about the bylaws. And in any case in which the in any case in which there is no question as to the bylaws, the LNC, I do think, has to look at the affiliate bylaws. And Delaware was completely, I think Delaware was clean. I think Delaware was as clean as it can get. And I'm sure you recognize some of my writing in that brief, Chuck. You know me too well. And the LNC certainly did leave a mess in my case as well. And I do think you guys came to a really, really bad decision there. But that's okay. We can agree to disagree. At least I believe you came to your decision in good faith, though I disagree with you. I think Alicia Matson was getting even with me for beating her by nearly 20 points in 2018 because she completely misrepresented what I said. She said that I admitted that I broke a policy manual provision. No, I didn't. All I did is what I normally do, is I looked at the evidence and said, if I were you guys, I would have stuck to just this one accusation because it's the strongest one you had. I didn't admit that it was true. All I admitted was, out of all the crap you threw at the wall, you should have just stuck to one. That was your strongest case. You still lose, but that was your strongest case. And she said that I admitted. And that was a really bad decision on Alicia's part. But Alicia wrote a bomb decision on this one. I think Alicia had all the points correct. So let's continue with what I think. Even in disagreeing, though, with the rest of the JC, Chuck, maybe you'll disagree with me here. I do think you will agree that Whitney completely misapprehended what the JC's decision was. And so Whitney acts like the board, like the JC, like Alicia wrote that the board was frozen since October 1st. So what did Mr. Coup-Master McVeigh do? Oh, and I got to tell you, Alicia was the GOAT for something. When Alicia said in her decision that she sent a question to Mr. McVeigh, but he didn't answer it. But, you know, she did send it on white font on white paper. I was just like, girl, that was freaking hilarious. That was hilarious. So, I forgot what I was going to say now. Shit, because that was so funny to me. That was she was on point on that one. So what Will McVeigh then did said, well, since the board has been frozen since October 1st, I'm just going to go do everything I did again. But this time, do it allegedly right. But what Whitney has failed to want to recognize is at no point has Bill Hines not been the chair of this party. At no point has Dr. Amy LaPure not been the vice chair of this party. And even though happy coup-master Will McVeigh pretended like he was a chair for a couple months, he wasn't. And they followed all of their rules, and they suspended Will, and they suspended, I don't think they had to, did they suspend? Well, I'm getting really super confused, but because I'm dealing with a couple other affiliates right now, but they followed all the procedures. The county affiliates followed their procedures. The board with Bill Hines as chair followed its procedures, and certain board members had no longer were on the board, either through valid removal procedures by county affiliates or through valid disciplinary actions on the main board. And they are I believe it's Will and Mary are suspended pending. Ooh, guess what Amy and Bill are giving McVeigh's? A trial Oh, go figure, due process, something the LNC also doesn't know something about. So they have no voting privileges right now. They are suspended pending trial. The trial may have already happened by now. So Whitney acting like nothing has changed since October was completely ridiculous. So Mary clarified the JC's decision. I don't think the majority was ambiguous, Chuck. You and I will disagree there. So let's go to Mary's clarification. One second. And the board can't. One thing, and I'm sure you know this, you just might not remember because you're looking at a million bylaws as well, I'm sure. It's weird because the board doesn't remove all of the board, or the board can't remove all of the board because their county chairs are automatically board things. So some of the county representatives were removed by the counties, not by the board. Like the effect is the same. They're not on the board anymore, but they weren't removed by the board. Some of them were by county, which makes it a little different because we're not like that in Colorado. But I think you have a little bit of that in Pennsylvania. But Colorado, our county, we don't have county representatives on our board. I actually think we should, but we don't. So what Mary had said, and I'm going to just read it out to you guys. Ms. Bilyeu, after receipt of the, and for Mary, okay, Mary is like as sweet as cotton candy. She is the sweetest woman I know. And when I read this, I was like, oh, for Mary, she bitch slapped him for Mary. Okay, Mary's sweet. Like, she would never actually do that. This is my interpretation. But for Mary. She says, after receipt of the JC ruling regarding the Libertarian Party of Delaware, you sent an email to the LNC discussing what you thought the implications were. I am contacting you on behalf of the JC because the position stated in that email did not reflect the intention of the JC ruling. After listing the board members elected at the LPDE convention and noting that the secretary had resigned, and oh my goodness, Dale, who's the secretary there, is the sweetest. If nobody here has met Dale, oh my God, what a nice guy. The final sentence of your email was, therefore, the LNC awaits confirmation that the LP Delaware board exists now in the configuration it did prior to October 1st, and the LNC will continue to link to the lpdelaware.org website accordingly. There is no way in the world, I respectfully disagree with Dr. Moulton, that she could have gotten that from the JC decision. Particularly since the lpdelaware.org website doesn't list Bill Hines. Even if you're going to claim there was a good faith misunderstanding, which I do not believe there was, there's no justification. Some of you may not know, Bill Hines wrote Ms. Bilyeu twice asking for the website to be changed. But what's also quite galling about Whitney's ruling's not even the right word because there wasn't a dispute to rule. Her proclamation is she says the LNC awaits this. The LNC awaits nothing, Ms. Bilyeu. You have a very, very bad problem of thinking you are the LNC. I told this story in another broadcast that I don't know if Dr. Moulton saw. He would probably get a kick out of it, where when she first became chair, and there was something in the agenda, and I just happened to mention to her, it wasn't in a wise guy, it wasn't in front of everybody, it wasn't to embarrass anybody. I said, our custom is to do X. And she said, that's not my custom. Who cares what your custom is? You are not the LNC. An assembly's custom it's the assembly. It's not the chair. You're not a queen. Joe Bishop Henchman wasn't a king. Custom isn't the chair's custom. It's right then I knew things were not going to go well. So Mary continues. Our ruling did not reinstate the entire board as it was configured just prior to October 1st, 2021. Our ruling was, quote, thus we rule to reinstate the LP Delaware's affiliate, recognizing its officers, Mr. Hines as chair, and other duly elected board members, including Dr. Lapure, and Mr. Casey, chosen by that affiliate under its properly adopted rules as they stood prior to the events of October 1st. And I'm switching back and forth to chat here, and Dr. Moulton said, I agree there was no justification for not changing the website. Yeah, that was the big thing. And it says, we very intentionally only named 3 individuals in that ruling. Enough was demonstrated to us that those 3 were still on the board. Our phrase prior to the events of October 1st was only about the properly adopted rules and was not a rollback of all board seats as of a given date. An earlier draft of our ruling was abandoned once we realized that it would have functioned more like the time machine rollback. I wonder if she has a Mac, because that whole time machine sorry, I'm getting a little computer geeky, is a kind of a Mac phrase, to all conditions as they were prior to October 1st. We changed it specifically because we realized that this case did not necessarily involve providing us evidence of everything that has changed since October 1st. There could have been other legitimate changes in other board seats since October 1st. Someone could have resigned. Perhaps county affiliates altered their representation, which has in fact happened. We did not want to assume what might have happened with the other seats in the meantime. So the ruling only identified the 3 seats at issue in this case, and we said their pre-October 1st rules were operative. We also think that we should point out some other particular language in the majority opinion. Its Appendix A listed a number of bylaws provisions which require that the LNC interact with affiliates in certain ways. Some certainly require interaction with the affiliate chair, and many of the others can be accomplished via the affiliate chair. That sentence is kind of weird to me, that one sentence. Depending on the unique role definitions within the affiliate, maybe other required interactions are with some other board member. In most cases, the required interactions don't necessarily require you to actively track all changes within board members. I would say none of them require the LNC to actively track all changes within board members. The only one they really need to know who is the chair. Often the practical reality is that the chair is the first point of contact, and if necessary, the chair will refer you to a different board member to complete the interaction. That is why we use particular phrasings that we want to make sure you note, such as, emphasis added, must the LNC make any decision when it is disputed who the key affiliate officers are, particularly the office of chair? Appendix A to this opinion is a listing of at least 15 provisions in the LP bylaws that require knowing the identity of the state affiliate, certain of its officers, and its governing documents. Absolutely agree there. The LNC is actually obligated by the bylaws to know who certain affiliate officers are and if disputes arise, ... This sentence here is where Mary for Mary got, Mary for Mary did the equivalent of what Mary could do of a bitch slap. Of course, Mary would never do that. This is my interpretation. But for Mary, this is harsh for Mary because she's such a sweetheart. We thought the wording of the ruling made it clear. Yeah, Mary, I thought so too. That the 3 specifically identified people are LPDE board members, and that the other officers and board members would be those chosen by that affiliate under its properly adopted rules as they stood prior to the events of October 1st, even if that means some successors as a result of later developments. Essentially, the JC decision affirmed the Hines Group as the Delaware LP's leadership, and any actions taken by it before, during, and after its appeal are the business of the Delaware LP. The LNC should recognize these actions as legitimate. Failure to do so could be construed as interfering with the autonomy of the Delaware affiliate, which is forbidden by Nationals bylaws. Okay, I thought Mary's clarification was great. And I'm very, very happy she made it. I hope that Whitney does not go out of her way to find a way to misconstrue this one as well. I hope this puts it to rest. And just for everyone's FYI, The LPDE is having its annual convention on March 26. The delegates will come together again in convention. All the members, not like hand-picked ones by McVeigh when he threw out all the members of the Delaware Party, and will elect their new board. And I hope that puts everything to rest. So in about a month, I think Delaware's a non-issue. Of course, this JC decision will be discussed, I'm sure, for years to come, the way the Oregon decision was. But I think they had it right. I think they absolutely, the majority opinion, had it right. Because I know you guys are probably tired. If this didn't happen, there probably would have been a lot more. There probably would have been another LNC motion and another appeal, which I think you guys are probably tired and don't want another appeal. This is the most appealed LNC, if you count. Well, even if you don't count the one that got thrown out by Dr. Phillies in the history of the party. So congratulations. Congratulations. And yeah, Dr. Moulton, I disagree with you that this invites a lot more disputes. I think it's actually going to clear up a lot more disputes. You and I just fundamentally disagree here. So I'm on my way to Florida. So I wanted to get this out before I left because, oh boy, this is bringing back bad memories, because you want to know when New Hampshire happened last year? It was during the Florida convention, and that was the beginning of the end. But you want to know what? I would do it all over again. Now, Chuck's known me a very, very long time, and he may remember this because we talked a lot about Oregon. Chuck may remember the whole reason I ran for the LNC to begin with, in the beginning, was to protect Colorado. I saw what happened in Oregon. I said, if the LNC could fuck around with Oregon, they could fuck around with Colorado. So my driving motivation for the first time I ran for the LNC, and though I may have gathered more priorities, my initial core motivation for running for the LNC has never changed. And that was to protect affiliates. That is an interesting thing. Chuck, I hope you don't mind that I alternate between Chuck and Dr. Moulton. The formalities I'm doing more for the other people who don't have a friendship relationship like we do, but we've known each other for so long that it feels awkward. That is a good question. So Chuck asks, I wonder if Delaware will motivate the next Karen Ann Harlos to get involved. I hope so. Because there is one thing I will say I am proud of in my fraudulent removal. And that is that my core motivation was always to protect affiliates. And I do feel I was removed for being a whistleblower. And if that's what it took to fulfill my core motivation, then I proved that my principles, at least in my eyes, I know some people don't agree with my evaluation, but I hope that everyone trust that I believe that's my motivation, or I believe my narrative. Let's put it that way. I firmly believe that I was removed for being a whistleblower. I know some people don't agree, but I hope everyone agrees that I actually believe that I'm not like lying that I believe that. And knowing that I genuinely believe that, and knowing that if I had groveled to those corrupt people, I would have kept my seat, and I chose not to. I hope I have proven that what I believe in is more important to me than any position. Any position. And I will not lie. That position meant a lot to me. Chuck and all of my close friends know I worked my ass off to get there, and it was wrongly removed from me. But My principles meant more to me. I was willing to sacrifice something very, very, very precious to me. And I'm not going to lie, it was precious to me. But I would not grovel and compromise my principles. I actually think I was removed as a whistleblower for two things. It wasn't just New Hampshire. A lot of people really, because they didn't live it, and you guys are smart. If you're not living everything that goes on in the LNC, you're smart. And there's something else I want to bring up to you too, Dr. Moulton, but that has nothing to do with any of this. In December, I confronted about how our messaging wasn't really good on COVID. And at that time, a lot of LNC members got mad at me. So I believe it was those two issues. It was New Hampshire, and it was my insistence that we were derelict in our duty. And in fact, I said, if you're not going to speak out on the greatest civil liberties violations of our time, you should just dissolve the party right now. So it was those two things. But here's the fact. If I didn't get removed over New Hampshire, I'd have gotten removed over Delaware. But there's also another thing that I don't think the JC didn't need to take this into consideration, but it might be an interesting fact for anyone who didn't know this. Remember how the LNC said they just can't function without me? Yeah, they've been really functional since September, haven't they? They've drawn more appeals than any LNC in the history of this party. They've gotten so much done. But what some people don't realize, the very same people who said, you're just impossible to work with and we can't get anything done, you're just so terrible. A week before they said that, nearly every single one of them appointed me as interim platform committee chair. If I'm so terrible to work with and I just can't work with anyone, why did you all vote for me for platform committee chair? You can't have it both ways. Like, to me, that's almost the smoking gun that this had everything to do with New Hampshire. And the platform committee, after I was elected interim chair by the LNC, and that was an honor, the platform committee, once again, for the third term in a row, elected me platform committee chair again because I'm just so horrible. I was elected again against a very, very strong opponent. Ted Brown, who I respect the living hell out of, ran against me. And I didn't know if I was going to win, but I think the vote was 11-4. It might have been 11-5. More than double. I was elected again platform committee chair. So, anyway, I appreciate your confidence in me and Reno, Chuck. I don't know, being an attorney as well, you know how it is. You could have the greatest case in the world, but the jury's gonna do what the jury's gonna do, and you just never know. I hope I win again in Reno. And I hope the next LNC is kind of like the 2016 to 2018 LNC. That's when Nick was at his best. Nick was a fantastic chair in 2016. I know a lot of people don't like me for saying that, but Nick was a great chair in 2016. And our 2016 to 2018 term was peaceful. And I have high hopes that the 2022 through the 2024 term will be peaceful. And Chuck says the demographics are on my side. I would hope the qualifications are on my side. I don't want to win by demographics. I want to win by merit. I'm the better candidate. If you've seen some of those minutes, Chuck, and you remember when I first became secretary, I was so paranoid that Alicia was just going to tear me apart because Alicia's a bomb secretary. I mean, there's no one who will deny that Alicia is a bomb secretary. Like, when I mean bomb, I mean it in a good way. I don't mean she bombed. I meant she was the bomb. Like, she is a great secretary. So Chuck used to proofread all my minutes for me. Like, somebody should be doing that for Mr. Wilford's minutes, but that's none of my business. Yeah, Kenny Kelly agrees with me. Sarwark used to be wonderful. Nick, I think, is both the best and the worst chair. Actually, I don't think he's the worst chair now we've ever had. I think Whitney actually is. But when you're talking about chairs that were actually elected by the delegates rather than appointed by their own cronies on the LNC, Nick has been both the best and the worst chair when you come to elections that we've ever had. Now, perhaps there's been a worse chair than Whitney who was appointed. I'm still learning history. I'm not by any means an expert at it, though I think I know more about the party history than a lot of people. Not everybody, but a lot of people. Okay, you guys, I've enjoyed spending this time with you, and seriously, I'm thrilled that you showed up on Twitch, Chuck. I do look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks. In case you didn't hear, one thing exciting that's going on in Pennsylvania that has absolutely nothing to do with the LP. You may not have known this, but I don't know who my biological father was. And I know to some people, they're like, who cares? You were raised by somebody who loved you and all that. You want to know where you come from. Especially as you get older, you want to know who you come from. So I did the 23andMe thing. Yeah, I know. I gave the state my DNA. They could have get it anyway. And I found a first cousin on my father's side that I never knew I had. He's the closest relative so far I found on 23andMe, and he lives in Philadelphia. So in the few days before the Pennsylvania, he doesn't live in Philadelphia. He lives in Pennsylvania. I was getting all my P words mixed up. You got Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and Pennsylvania. Too many P words. So he lives in Pennsylvania. So in the few days before the Pennsylvania convention, I'm going to be meeting with my first cousin, and we're going to play a game of Who's Your Daddy? And hopefully we can figure it out, or at least start to narrow it, because I would love to know if I have other relatives. I mean, wouldn't it be amazing if I had a brother or sister I didn't know about? And it's not that I don't love the siblings I have now. They're half siblings. They're from my mother's side. Unfortunately, my brother passed away, my half brother, but who cares? He was my brother. He passed away a couple years ago. My sister's alive and well. I'm visiting her in Florida starting tomorrow. That's one reason why I'm so excited to go to Florida. But after the Pennsylvania convention, I might have, or at least leads to, a whole family I didn't even know about. And that's exciting to me. All right, everyone, I hope you have a good night. And I'm sure I'll be broadcasting some more over the Florida convention. So, love you all. Mi guapas de libertad. Bye-bye. And get some sleep. Get some sleep, you insomniacs. Bye-bye.
Given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in the business.